Where was the last time you saw a Microsoft support person come out and do anything? They don't exist. What Microsoft does for support is they rely on their value-added resellers, their consultants, their what we call channels. And if Microsoft started selling support at that level, all those people that are Microsoft channel people would be very pissed off and stop supporting Microsoft. So Microsoft has to be careful how they shift their business model. And recently Microsoft said, oh, we're going to go to web-based stuff, and therefore we're not going to be using your channels anymore. And the channels got very upset about this. So they have to be careful because of that. Another thing is, a company can't open up its source code because maybe it bought code from other places, and under the contract they can't expose the source code for that, right? So legally they can't expose the source code. That's another reason. And SGI, when they contributed their XFS file system to Linux, they first said, oh yes, here's the XFS file system. And then their lawyers tapped them on the shoulder and said, no, there's a lot of Veritas code in that. We can't expose it. So it took SGI an entire year to get that Veritas code out of their XFS file system. And that was very expensive for them. And there's other reasons why people don't expose source code. So, it may take a long time, it may be never. Or Microsoft may make certain products open source, but not others.
Why not all of the products they are making? They don't want to make open source.
They no longer make them open source?
Why not all the products they want to make open source, just like Linux?
Well, I just gave some reasons why that would be hard for certain companies.
Okay.
They utilize code from other places, or their business model doesn't fit.
Okay.
But there are some companies that are closed source now that are opening up their source because they find out they make even more money by having open source products and closed source products.
Okay.
So if you go to the web, www.project.net, there's a product there which is used by companies to sign products, to make products. It's project management software. It used to sell for $2,000 a copy. The person decided to open source it, and now he's making more money than ever because he charges for support. And instead of only 2 people every 4 months buying the product and then buying support, now he gets hundreds of people every quarter who use the product, and 60% of them buy support. So he makes more money by freeing his software than he did by having it closed source and proprietary.
If Microsoft becomes open source one day, then then all the software that will be installed in the OS have to be made free.
Well, see, the problem with that is that Microsoft doesn't have any way of selling the support directly, right? So by giving away the software, they've given up their main revenue stream, and that's something they can't do right now. Another problem that some companies have of opening up their source is their stockholders. The stockholders don't understand open source software, so when they hear that the company is going to be giving away their software, they get all upset. And then, so the company never reaches that point. There's lots of reasons why companies do not open up their software.
What is done to teach open source software in schools? Like a person starts his education of computers, he is generally taught Windows.
Windows.
Like when we in India, when we are exposed to computers, the first thing that comes is Windows system. Is the open source division doing something to teach the child who is being taught operating systems, like who is exposed to the computer for the first time with the open source model?
Well, first of all, yes, we are. And part of that is to go back to government and explain to them the benefits, not just of teaching people Linux. And I want to be clear about this. I believe that people should be taught multiple operating systems, and that they should then be able to figure out what is the best operating system for them to use at that time. They make choice. And the problem is, from my viewpoint, people have had that choice taken away from them by only teaching them one operating system,
which is user friendly.
So what I think that people should do is learn multiple operating systems, and particularly in a university, when you're studying computer science, you should be introduced not only to Linux but also to Microsoft, also to Apple, also to BSD, also to these wide variety of different operating systems, so you can figure out which is the best one to do your work with, and then you can make the choice.
So, but the thing that is generally happening is, I learned Windows operating system when I was a kid of around 5 years. But I got
And how old are you?
around 21.
Linux didn't exist when you were 5.
Yeah, and I
That's a
learned,
problem.
Yeah, I learned Linux around say two years ago. I started with Fedora core, Linux first operating system. That's what I learned. So if say kids of this generation who are 5-year-old now, they are taught first Linux and then the Windows operating system, would it be good to further promote your cause?
I think, yes, I think it would be good, but again, I think they should learn both of them, right? Because then they can compare them. And I think what's really happening is that the operating system itself is disappearing. What people are really buying are devices which have, an interface on them that they use. And it's going to be the applications which actually are more important.
Yes.
That's what people are going to be looking at. In fact, most people, a lot of people use Linux today and don't even know it. They use it in their Linksys routers or their D-Link routers. They use it in their TiVo or their tape, TV recording system. They use it in their microwave ovens and things like that. They don't see it, but it's there. And again, the only place that it really hasn't made real inroads is the desktop, and we are winning that battle. Linux is now about 8 or 9% of the desktop, and and Apple is another 10% of the desktop. So Microsoft's share is shrinking, and as new systems come out, like the EE PC and the Classmate PC and the One Laptop per Child PC, as those come out with Linux on it, a lot more people are going to be exposed to Linux as a desktop.